University of the Nations is the training arm of the international missions movement Youth with a Mission, or YWAM, which was founded in 1960. The University of the Nations' unique modular education model focuses intensely on one subject at a time, giving a year's worth of traditional education in just 3 months. Courses are designed for immediate, practical application. The University of the Nations faculty are experts in their areas and travel to training locations from the field. Lauren Cunningham is an entrepreneurial educator and modern-day missionary who took Mark 16:15 to go into all the world and preach the gospel literally. He has ministered in every nation on earth and is co-founder of Youth of the Mission and University of the Nations.
At age 13, I was called by the scripture, go into all the world, preach the gospel, and that's what I intended to do, to go to every nation.
YWAM started in 1960.
That's right.
With young people going out, and along the way you realize we need to increase the level of training and equipping.
Yes, but I had a problem. I'd done a research for a master's degree. This was for University of Southern California. And I came to an impasse because I researched in 42 countries and 72 individual institutions. And I found such a disheartening thing. One, for example, out in India, a seminary where 100% came to go full-time to the work of the Lord. And only 4% after they had done their seminary degrees went out. And I thought, oh, we're just going to go into action. And so that's how we started. And so as we did this, the Lord said, you've got to start a training school. Only now, do it with only teachers in a modular form. They will come for a week or 2 weeks, giving only the things they have done and are doing. Acts chapter 1. And that sequence is so key, and the teaching that comes alive.
A core value of the University of the Nations is hearing from God. The university was founded upon revelation from the Lord and continues to depend upon His Word in every area.
This is not a university that has a religious service, a chapel attached to it. But we have intentionally sought to, in every subject area of study, to ask, why does this subject exist? What is God's purpose? What is God's design?
If you, in education, start to turn from revelation as being real, both in the written word as well as in the dynamic words, that means relationship problems has happened. And so relationship and revelation always go together. The closer you are to God, the more you know what God wants you to do, and the more you're willing.
Over 3,000 times in the Old Testament, we read God said. It's the most used phrase in the Bible. Throughout all of our advanced courses, we're training people to enter into these arenas, these vocations of life, do what they do, listening to God, partnering with God, co-creating with God.
This is a university of integration, the 7 spheres of influence, the Christian Magna Carta, and how that integrates the university into all of life.
It was in the mountains of Colorado. My family and I had taken a week off in a borrowed cabin. I just was before the Lord in prayer, and He gave me these 7 ways to influence a society and help to prepare the society for transformation. I was pondering them when the forest ranger came up and said, you have a call back down at the station. This was 1975. And so it was an invitation by Bill and Vonette Bright to come over. They found we were in the same state at the same time. We flew over and met with them. And as I came in, I had my paper here, yellow pad paper, and I was pulling it out, and he was quicker with his. He said, look what God's shown me, Lauren. And he had the same spheres.
Lauren Cunningham was led to articulate a concept known as the 7 spheres of influence. These societal spheres recognize and define what shapes our choices, culture, values, and future.
You want to teach the nation, shape the nation, you've got to use all of these vehicles, not just the religious vehicle. That changes Sunday, But if you want to change Monday through Saturday, you got to use these other things as well.
In 1981, Lord Cunningham was guided to articulate a document called the Christian Magna Carta, which lists the rights bestowed to mankind by God.
And God just gave a download in which I wrote as fast as I could on what I understood to be the Christian Magna Carta, which goes beyond the normal human rights.
Number 1, everyone has the right to hear and understand the gospel of Jesus Christ. Number 2, to have a Bible available in his or her own language. Number 3, to have Christian fellowship available nearby, to be able to meet for fellowship regularly each week and to have a biblical teaching and worship with others in the body of Christ. Number 4, to have a Christian education available for their children. Number 5, to have the basic necessities of life, food, water, clothing, shelter, and health care. And number 6, to lead a productive life of fulfillment spiritually, mentally, socially, emotionally, and physically.
If we have the obligation to preach the gospel, what can they expect from us as Christians? So our understanding of the Great Commission is much more than just a quick proclamation of the gospel. But there's so much more, and that allows us to equip tens and even hundreds of thousands of young people with all kinds of vocational capacities to go and live their lives to be an agent for transformation in the world.
Highly innovative in nature, the University of the Nations is involved in key strategic partnerships to see lives changed and God glorified.
The things that are happening now are happening so fast, the innovations. And all we had to say was, seek God, see what God has gifted you, use it, now use it for his purposes. Take, for example, the food machine. With one of these units, we can feed 100 people all that they need to stay alive with fish and vegetables. Or 10 of those units can feed 1,000 and on up to 1,000,000.
We've developed the first iconophonological writing system.
That's a mouthful.
That's a mouthful. It's a brand new word because there's no other writing system like it. We did some research because of our ministry into China and found that though the church is growing rapidly, 70% of the Christians do not read well enough to be able to pick up the Gospel of John and read it with ease. And our dream was that people would be able to have a writing system they could learn in 2 weeks or less.
Wow.
We are finding now that people are able to read and write complete sentences, in most cases in 2 hours less.
The beauty of the University of the Nations, unlike any other training entity in the earth, is we do the training with the actual field experience, the live learn as we call it. Most people don't understand that most of those who come to Christ in the earth are under 18 years of age. They're largely missed in the normal church approach. So we've formed arts, entertainment, sport, cross-cultural communication, in mass evangelism formats, but also very relational and personal, to reach the younger generation in the earth.
Based on the principles of a biblical worldview, University of the Nations training and practical initiatives are transforming nations all over the world.
Nigeria has 3 major problems, but one of those problems has to do with the militants, angry at the second problem of graft and corruption. And so they took up arms, and they have done terrible, damaging things. And so one of our teams went in there. They were led out of prayer to go to the camps. And as a result of that, people started coming, laying down their arms. Our teams took it to the government and the arms, and they said, okay, if you will transform them, they use the term rehabilitate them, then we will give them amnesty.
We started with 300 ex-militants that lay down their guns and accept the amnesty from the government. We took them through transformation course, and many of them get saved. We baptized them. I believe the University of the Nation is key to see transformation happen in Nigeria. Not only evangelism, but to teach them how to use biblical principle to influence the nation and see the nation completely change. Because when you see with the transformation course that we start with the militant, we saw 1,200 that went through the transformation course right now. We have 50 of them that is now full-time missionary, reaching the other militant for Jesus.
Nations to Nations really started as a revelation from the Lord, where God spoke to us about the restoration of the identity, the dignity, and the destiny of individuals, communities, cities, and nations. We've just seen a remarkable breakthrough with the First Nation people of South Africa, the only people that hasn't been recognized constitutionally in South Africa, who's got one of the greatest Bill of Rights. And through collaborating with the chiefs, reaching out to that community, we have seen for the first time in 300 years that an invisible people have been recognized. What Paul is writing in Ephesians, you were once foreigners, but you've been brought near. You're part of the household of God. That is the greatest need of everybody. They want to belong. They want to be included. He's the God of every nation. And that is why we are passionate about the University of the Nations, because it is really a catalyst for transformation, to see nations being transformed, to see the glory of God come in every sphere of society.
God clearly spoke and said, you go to the Amazon and take pictures of this issue of infanticide. So I went together with some of my school that I was leading back then, and I was taking pictures, but while I was there I met Hakane, a survivor of infanticide, and I was challenged by her life. I wrote down her life story. I came back with pictures. We did a movie and a book together. Now we are seeing a change in Brazil. Some of the 14 members of Brazilian tribes have made a decision to stop infanticide in their tribes. And also we have seen on governmental level a law that is being released right now to save the children of the Amazon.
We worked in Stung Treng, Cambodia in 1990. 40% of the kids were dying before reaching the age of 5. We trained over 500 midwives. 6 months ago I asked these midwives, how many children and mothers died in the first 6 months of this year? They started talking to each other. They said, none. The University of the Nations is training hundreds of thousands of young people to be able to see what loving your neighbor looks like and be practically engaged in presenting the gospel to this generation.
May of 1990, myself and 12 staff from Los Angeles base went down to do one home in Tijuana, Mexico, based on something that God spoke to do. And my 3.5-year-old daughter was with us, and she kept saying, Daddy, are you going to build a house for that family too? And they were living in an old abandoned bus, so we did a second house and then another one and another one. And now we've done 3,500 homes for the poor in 10 different nations. But what's interesting is 6 months before the Haiti earthquake, our national director, Terry Snow, called me up and said, hey, we really feel like Homes of Hope is a key strategy to impact Haiti. 6 months later, the earthquake happened, and now we've got over 100 earthquake victims that are in Homes of Hope.
We have had projects and initiatives in more than actually 100 locations in those 20 nations. Rain is a beautiful thing to us in Water for Life, because in lots of countries they're drinking water that's from a polluted river when they could be drinking the clean rainwater that we get every day. We go into the communities, we teach them how to build rain catchment tanks to catch and to store in a safe manner the drinking water that they need every day.
Multiplication is God's idea. In a movement like YWAM and the University of the Nations, you want to multiply the locations in a way that will go into all the world, preach the gospel to every creature. So we want to cover every part of that.
It's a new geography, a new map of the world. Instead of just looking at the world as the 241 independent nations, we have divided into, based on demographics, into 4,000 omega zones. We now have over 600 different organizations, Christian organizations, using this map to identify where we're not. We've had students from over 210 nations, and our university is situated in 140 nations and has sent outreaches into every nation on earth.
The dream of God we find in Revelation chapter 7 verse 9, where John saw a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, every tribe, every people, and every language. That is what history is moving towards. And we basically, we are just rehearsing heaven.
The University of the Nations, along with others in the body of Christ, is bringing revelation, integration, innovation, transformation, and multiplication into the nations of the earth. The University of the Nations, a new kind of university.